I would like to start the final session. Good afternoon. How are you? How are you all doing today? It's difficult today. And also we are finalizing this meeting. And I'm also delighted to welcome you to the panel discussion of the Global Citizens Summit. This panel marks the concluding highlight of our ICCGC CoNGO 2025 conference. My name is Kwang-Soo Park. I'm an emeritus professor and Reverend of Won Buddhism, and also serving as the chairperson of the Academy of Korean Thought and Culture, K-전통문학술원. It is truly my honor to privilege to serve as your moderator for this important meeting. This morning, we began with an interfaith prayer for peace, followed by panel sessions and workshop in the afternoon. Now we have come to the final stage of these remarkable gatherings. What a journey! It has been challenging and meaningful and truly inspiring. Over the past 6 years, since 2020, this conference has become a special space where NGOs, faith communities, scholars, and young leaders come together. Our mission has been simple but profound: to foster global citizenship, deepen interfaith understanding, and turn shared values into action. Today, we are not just here to review the past, we are here to reflect on the values and visions that guide us, the actions we must take, and the future we want to create together. So I invite not only our panelists, but all of you to join in this open and respectable dialogue, sharing your wisdom and vision as we work to bring these ideas to life in our daily lives and our communities. In this final panel, we are joined by remarkable leaders from many fields, and I am honored to introduce them individually. And so you may give a big hand for each person when I introduce them. First, from Intergovernmental Organization, Dr. Jung-woo Tak, former director of UNESCO APCEIU, and now senior advisor at the Global Partnership for Education. Please welcome. From academia, Reverend Dr. Leo Lefebvre, co-chair of the ICCGC meeting, and Catholic priest and theologian, recognized worldwide for his work in interreligious dialogue. He began from the beginning. Let's welcome him. From the field of religion, Reverend Do-yeon Park, and co-chair of the Committee of Religious NGOs at the United Nations. She dedicated to strengthening interfaith cooperation. Welcome. And also faith-based organization, Dr. Roberto Catalano, professor at Sofia University in Italy, and longtime bridge builder across religion and culture. And he is important Focolare member. Welcome. And also finally, representing the voice of youth. And we could see that young people around here, and we are getting old in physically, but mentally we are still young, I think. And so Representing the Voice of Youth, Ms. Natalie Chong, a PhD candidate at Princeton and an inspiring leader in climate action and sustainability. Welcome her. Before we begin our panel discussion, let's take a quick look back at the journey that brought us here. Over the past 6 years, ICCGC has grown up into more than just a conference. It's become a living story of partnership, shared challenges, and transformative ideas. We started from 2020, when there was the COVID-19 is widespread in the world. We just gathered together to ask how religious peace movement could respond to a post-COVID world. And 2021, we look forward to the new normal, focusing on the resilience through collective intelligence. In 2022, we turned our attention to religious and civilization, calling for justice and healing. And in 2023 in Seoul, we emphasized engaged spirituality in a time of global crisis. And last year in 2024, we gathered in New York and we co-hosted with the CoNGO at the United Church Center. From that meeting came the New York Consensus Declaration, and committing us to embrace diversity and protect our planet and empower the next generation. The final one is very important. And now in 2021, we are putting that vision into action. I'm especially delighted to see so many young people around here with us, actively shaping the future of peace and sustainability. And so let's give some big hand for the young people together. To begin with our panel conversation, I'd like to open with a question that really gets to the heart of our theme: how we turn value of global citizenship into meaningful action. Each panelist will have around 10 minutes to share their thought. After everyone has spoken, I will invite the questions and reflections from the floor. And so we will have around 20 minutes for participants to join this dialogue, not just by panelists, but from the floor. Then we will return to each speaker for a brief closing reflections. And so let me raise some questions. Around the world, the regional conflicts and the wars continue to escalate. The ongoing war in Gaza, the Russia-Ukraine war, and the millions of refugees remain without homes. I just attended the UNHCR meeting. She reported that not millions, almost more than 123 millions. 123 millions is 1억 2천만 명 정도가 레퓨지로 있다는 얘기를 했습니다. And also inequality persists built into systems that favor a few while leaving many behind. And so we see old patterns of colonial denomination returning in new forms of economic dependence and control by economic empire. I call it economic empire. And so also Holy Land becomes battleground, and also Holy Land becomes a killing field. And so how could make peace in this world? For our panelists, I will ask, in your field of work, what do you see as the most pressing challenge to building a truly global civil society? How can we turn the principles of global citizenship into real, measurable actions that makes differences in our communities and in the wider world? And so I will ask Dr. Jong-woo Tak to give some speeches first.
Good afternoon. My name is Tak Jang. Yeah, thank you very much. This is very honored for me. I have to confess why I am in this stage. Maybe you have a lot of questions. Why Mr. Jung is in the front in the podium? So it started with UNESCO. After graduate from university, I joined UNESCO, Korean National Commission for UNESCO first, and then I had the experience work in UNESCO Paris, and then Bangkok. Finally, my last position was the director of UNESCO Apseyu in Seoul. So almost 36 years, a long time. I work in UNESCO community. UNESCO is my own identity. So during that time, in 2012, then UN Secretary General Mr. Ban Ki-moon announced that Global Education First Initiative. We call it GEFI or JEPI. There are three components. One is empowering our future generation, fostering global citizenship. After hearing about that, this is quite important topic. So I made my mind. I decided I have to do something, include this global citizenship into post-SDG, post-MDG. At that time, we didn't know what the name will be. That's why we call it post-global agenda, post-MDG. So since 2012 to those 3 years, from 2012 to 2015, 3 years, I did my best to incorporate global citizenship into finally SDG. In 2015, UN decided SDG, Sustainable Development Goals. So global citizenship education well reflected in SDG 4.7. So my such an experience itself is remarkable for me. You know, I never expect that successful result, but I did my best in UNESCO, finally in UN. Then September 2015, we have a very beautiful statements, SDGs. So one of them, SDG 4.7, Global Citizenship Education and Education for Sustainable Development. So this is my, how can I say it, relationship with ICCGC, Global Citizenship, international gatherings like this. So I joined since 2020, all those 5 years. And this year's topic, Global Citizen Summit the title is very, very fantastic, Summit, yeah. This is very good. Do you know the subtitle? The subtitle is Global Citizens First. Wow, very audacious. They're like Trump, MAGA, Make America Great Again. America first, that means America first. But in Korea, in Iksan, in Korea today, we declare not America first, Russia first, China first, Korea first, global citizens first. It means Earth first, Mother Earth first. So this is only one or two words, but very strong implication. This is a very passionate slogan. I love it. Yeah, global citizens first. So, but we have a very beautiful slogan here. But how can we widely persuade, widely include, widely introduce, and then make one big voice in this world? So that is my lingering question. Today, we have very eminent scholars and practitioners, religious leaders here, and young leaders. So we have to think about how to make global citizens first in this world. That's why I am here. I would like to talk with you. Thank you very much.
Next, Father Leo, would you tell us about your speeches?
Thank you. I was asked to first say a little bit reviewing this year and then reflect from the point of academia on current efforts at building a global civil society, and then throw out some suggestions for where ICCGC could go in the future. So it may be slightly different than the way you framed it, Dr. Park, but I'd like to begin by emphasizing how important I think it is that young people are here. I very much appreciated the panel of young people the other day, and I really want to emphasize how important this is as we go forward. And I've also been impressed by all the presentations, so I'd like to thank all the speakers and the organizers. So I was asked to speak from a point of academia about what we do to foster global citizens, and so I'll talk about what I know best at Georgetown. In 1785, Father John Carroll issued a broadside, a public statement, trying to raise funds to set up a new academy in Georgetown. He had been raised in British colonial America, which had strong anti-Catholic laws. He knew religious prejudice and discrimination. He had to go to Europe to get educated, like other Catholics. And so he proclaimed, before we even opened our doors, Georgetown would be open to students of every religious profession. So from the very beginning, we had interreligious openness and understanding in our mission. And we continue that today. A few years ago, our president convened a series of meetings asking, how do we shift from being an international university to a global one? And there's multiple levels here. During World War I, our president looked at the international situation and thought, we have enough schools that tell people how to kill each other. We need a school of diplomacy that'll help avoid things like the First World War. And so we set up the first School of Foreign Service in the United States. And there's a whole series of different units in here that look at different areas around the world. There's a Center for Muslim-Christian Understanding. There's a Center for Jewish Civilization. And then often regional centers that look at different areas. There's a Department of East Asian Languages and Civilization. And so there's constant comings and goings of international leaders. A few years ago, I was part of a Jewish Christian class that went to Poland to study the whole trajectory of Jewish-Christian relationships in Poland, not just Auschwitz. We went to Auschwitz, but it's not just World War II. President of Poland was teaching on our faculty, and he convened a meeting with us. We had lunch, and he shared. And so it was helping the students get a broader sense of the world. Another side of global citizenship, we have a campus in Doha, Qatar, that is not study abroad for Americans. It's delivering a Georgetown School of Foreign Service education for students in that part of the world. I taught there for one academic year, and we had students from India to Europe, from Latin America, a few from the United States, but it's not mainly US students there. In my own department, we have a PhD in religious pluralism, where we challenge students to look at both the interdisciplinary field of religious studies and also comparative theology, and think about how we understand the religious diversity in our world today. We have the Berkeley Center for Religion, Peace, and World Affairs, which has constant discussions, and many of these are available free online. And I want to mention, especially for the young women I've been talking to, one of the units here is Women and Peace Building, led by Catherine Marshall, who's one of the major international leaders. She used to be at the World Bank and now is at Georgetown. And so there's a lot of different forums for different explorations. And so all of us are in a constant state of learning from people around the world, what does it mean to be global citizens? In terms of the future of ICCGC, as Dr. Park mentioned, I've been in it from the beginning. I was asked to speak in 2020 about what is the future of religion after COVID, which got my own mind thinking in different ways. I thought of the experience of Prince Siddhartha being awakened by the different signs as kind of comparable to what the world was going through in the pandemic, of being given a new sense of impermanence and of interdependence in multiple dimensions. So I appreciate very much what we've done these last 6 years. In terms of going forward, one of the most important questions is who will be in future ICCGC meetings. To date, we've largely been Buddhist Christian, and it's largely been East Asia, the United States, and some from Europe. And this has been very good. Last year in the UN Church Center, we had Jewish and Muslim speakers, but it's largely been a Buddhist Christian conversation. We had a question in this time about Muslims. And this would be one thing I just throw out for the organizers to consider. One of the most important relationships in the world, in some areas problematic, is Muslim-Buddhist. I was part of a triadic Christian-Buddhist-Muslim dialogue co-anchored by Ryokoku University in Kyoto, the University in Munster, Germany, and Georgetown. And so we had Buddhists, Muslims, and Christians coming together and looking at both historical and present relationships. And so this would be one thing I would throw out for consideration. The other would be, one of the topics we talked about were people who do not identify as religious, whether they're SBNRs or nuns or whatever label, but how do we reach out from the religious foundations of our respective traditions to those who do not identify as religious? In terms of topics, again, just throwing out one thought would be migration. As we look at the increasing global climate change crisis, I think the migration issue is just going to explode as some islands in the Pacific disappear, as parts of Bangladesh go underwater, as the Sahel Desert moves further south. There's going to be refugees on a scale we are not prepared for. And then the danger is refugees, migrants, can spark a new round of ethno-religious nationalism in many countries, where there's a toxic mingling of religious identity and some form of ethnic or racial identity as a reaction. And so I think this is going to be a challenge with us for the foreseeable future. On the positive side, we heard from Yun Sang Choi on the first night, and then from the Wan Dharma Master this morning, about one community. This is also Catholic teaching. The doctrine the declaration of the Second Vatican Council on Other Religions starts at the very beginning, first section, all nations, all peoples are one community. What does that mean? Because it's so obviously contradicted by many of the things going on in the world today. And we need to think both philosophically, theologically about this, and then in conjunction with the whole range of social sciences of what is a healthy unity. We have a long history of unhealthy forms of imposing unity. How do we shape a healthy community of the world's religions? So those are a few thoughts. Thank you.
Thank you very much. To propose next year, what we have to do for the next time too. And thirdly, I'd like to invite the Doyeon Park, Reverend Doyeon Park.
Thank you, everyone. Hi, I'm Doyeon. In Korean words for family, we call the 식구. I understand this as someone you're eating together. We consider them as family members. So we've been eating together last couple of days. So I will take this time more like family friendly sharing. And then when it comes to family, we all have this juicy family history, right? Some family members, we would like to get together, but some, even in this love and hate relationships in family members. So probably I'm gonna share some of my own personal reflection for this ICCGC for the last couple of years. Especially this year, we're having this conference in Iksan, where actually Wongang University is also, I studied here years ago. And when I came back for this conference, because many of us, we've been returning to this conference. So really it feels like a reunion. And then I guess many of you may understand that, we do have a lot of conferences like this. And for myself as well, in New York City, there are so many interfaith gatherings. And some are annual. And then again, when I go to more annual conference and, seeing more familiar faces, and I feel more like coming home, like talking to people from all different traditions. But also there are conferences that we go to, just random places with random people. And that place is something it's not quite, I can't really bring my heart to the place. And this ICCGC, because we had this history we've been sharing together. So I feel like finally, maybe we are actually talking about all these things, which means I think maybe upcoming gatherings or our coming together will be, maybe we need to have more serious, somewhat hard conversations. Well, I think we all understand, we kind of all have somewhat open hearts. We're saying that yes, there is a common value. We're here all for the peace, dignity, and humanity, all these things. But then when we go a little deeper, maybe there are some topics and conversations that are may not really comfortable that we talk. But probably we need to bring the courage to go into that little uncomfortable places. And I personally feel that I am confident that we are ready for that kind of conversations as well. So I can speak for myself. I am ready for some of juicy, some of love and hate, that conversations maybe coming forward. One other thought is that when I first entered this interfaith, multilateral kind of conversations here, which means when I was a little younger back then, hearing all these world problems, people are coming from all different traditions and they're talking all about their own traditions and meanings and kind of beliefs. And I was like, this whole world, there's no hope. And especially, all these social media things, this all technology, it is good to connect to one another. But at the same time, we know too much. Why do I need to know, my friends and friends and friends are what they are eating out there? What kind of car they're driving? All these little things that maybe I don't really need to know, but then knowing that and seeing all these things with this whole information, sometimes that's what we call, distractions. But then there are times I feel very overwhelming, when we hear all these global problems, because I don't know if I have any answer to that. Of course, I don't really have any answers. But then painful moment for me is that when I see world leaders at the UN, a lot of people say, oh, UN has to bring the peace to the world. But honestly, I don't know. For all these wars that we're having right now, I don't know if anyone has answer to that. Anyone has a clear understanding or the direction to, for how we can really bring the peace into the world. And then there was a moment I feel so almost depressed. And the interesting thing is that because I serve as a religious leader, I go to, I meet with college students. Then they're coming to me asking, with all current situations, all these political situations, how I can practice compassion with these political leaders who's harming whole world. And it's very hard for me even to share that. So I'm kind of sharing with all of you as my family members, extended family members, that I went through the moments of overwhelming, helpless. But then I don't know if it's my aging process or some of the surrendering practice. Maybe in the same situations, now I feel more hopeful, not because things are getting better, but because I start to see people around me. Meaning that maybe in the past I was thinking, what can I contribute to the world? Which is a good question, but at the same time, it's not only me. When I see, sometimes I feel like I'm helpless. But then when I look around, there are so many people that I see, just like all of you that I see right now here. You are doing your part in your places. So I guess it's very ironical thing that I start to see people around me, and then that brings me a lot of hope. And then let's be realistic. There are so many people creating problems, all the evil things, but there are so many other people creating, working hard, making the effort to bring the peace and justice into the world. And I say simply, well, where do I want to be? That's it, that simple question. I choose to be in the place where, near to all of you, that I believe that you all want to bring this peace into the world. And that's a kind of humble thing, but at the same time, I see that is my responsibility and that is my calling for this life doing here. So I do things that I can do, right? In a practical sense, I'm a Won Buddhist teacher. So when I go back to my temple in New York City, probably I'm gonna share, sharing with all the nice photos, and I'm gonna share this experience with my temple members. And that's maybe a small way, but it's the way that I can share in my capacity for sharing this message. And we never know where this message will reach, right? I often say this, very simple idea that, what makes us healthy is everyday small meals, right? Everyday small meals, the regular healthy meals give us nutrition. Like big meals make a problem, right? So maybe sometimes I feel like I'm not really doing enough, but then I do the everyday little things that I can do as a Won Buddhist teacher, just as a human being here. often we can maybe take a lot of little things for granted. But I want to remind all of us that, again, it is a little things that makes difference. For this conference-wise, I do share a lot of ideas with Leo. You point out that for the upcoming conference, how we can also extend our family circle to those who are not present in this circle here. So probably we're gonna bring more friends here. And then again, we need to, I wanna see personally, actively find the topics and things that we feel more uncomfortable and how we can make that conversation go deeper so that we can really make real changes. But at the end of the day, again, I believe wherever you are, whatever you do your things, I do my own things. That little things sums up, and then that is the hope for these global citizenships. Thank you.
Thank you so much to share your spiritual journey and experiences of what you have encountered with many interreligious dialogue. Thank you so much. And let me invite Dr. Roberto Catalano. Would you give us your experience and your vision too?
But first of all, thank you for the colleagues and friends and brothers and sisters who spoke before me, because I deeply share practically all their visions and also all their feelings. I give you two main points. One point which I reflected upon before coming for the conference. It is the third time that I participate in this kind of conferences. After Seoul 2 years ago, New York City last year, then this year. And what I noticed in a very positive way is that we are progressively creating a strong core group of people who are committed to the cause of a global citizenship. And if I learned something in interfaith dialogue along these years, more or less 3 decades I'm involved in it, is that in order to create a core group of this kind, we require time. We cannot hurry up. We have to act upon it, obviously, but also we require the patience that is necessary to create what Pope Francis used to call the culture of dialogue, the culture of inclusion, the culture of accepting each other. Now, coming to the title of this year's conference, I was struck, like my first colleague, of these 3 words, global citizens first. Exactly because it goes against the current, let's say, at the geopolitical level of the main mottos which are creating a wave in political life or anti-political life of nowadays. And I feel that this is really a priority. And as a member of a faith-based organization, I'm called, and we are all called, to grow as global citizens. Above all, we have the great responsibility to form global citizens in our institutions, in our environments. Indeed, all faiths invite us to step outside our own small world and come out of the box. This move will help us to look at the whole world and at the universe. A faith never teaches us to be self-referential and exclusivistic, but rather it opens up to the world, to other cultures, to men and women who are different from us, and even to nature, inviting us to build relationships with human beings as well as all natural beings. I think each of us could quote passages from various sacred books of his own or her own faith that invite this openness, condemning closure. In the history of humanity, it was not faiths or spiritualities that became closed, rather religions were the ones which closed down. They were born from these spiritual dimensions and created by men and women from certain specific historical and geographical contexts who rejected openness to others and to creation. So it was interesting to see how many of us spoke about spirituality in these days rather than religions. And probably we have to underline more and more this in the effort to create this core group. Now, three elements regarding our conference, also future proposals. As much as it has been mentioned, I was impressed and very happy with the presence of the youth. Nevertheless, we have to be careful not to run the risk of confining the youth participation to one panel made by youth. I would personally involve youth in different panels. Today, one of the biggest challenges in dialogue is not among religions or among Christian denominations or among believers and non-believers, is among generations, within religions, within cultures themselves. So I would involve the viewpoint of the youth in the same panel along with adults. This will be a greater asset, according to me, to the success of the events that we would like to organize in future. A second point, I speak here as a representative of a faith-based organization, but all of us somehow represent a faith-based organization. Now, some of our faith-based organizations have been, let's say, founded or initiated as waves of spiritualities by, let's say, pioneers in dialogue, prophets of our age. One Buddhism itself, which is hosting this event, is such a phenomenon. But the Risho Kosekai, who is present here, I belong to the Focolare movement in the same way. And I appreciate a lot that some of us come with some of their students and some of their followers and some of the younger generations. Now, it would be interesting to network more and more with these people. Today, for instance, there were also some of the Hizmet, Fethullah Gulen's followers of Islam, which is another wave of spirituality within Islam, which is very active in renewing and in dialogue. So I would favor this networking, because this networking will widen our spectrum, our possibilities of dialogue, and also our, let's say, possibility of forming global citizens. And why not start studying also the elements which are in common among these faith-based organizations, because this will help us to be more aware of the similarities that we have with one another, and therefore walk and work together for creating global citizens. This is just a few thoughts at random in order to look at the future.
Thank you so much, Dr. Loverato, to share your experience. And also when I attended that the central area in Rome, that is the center of Focolare, it was so much impressive to share interreligious dialogue and wisdom to unify all people together. I thank you so much. And let me invite Ms. Natalie Chung, and she is Pioneer's graduate student, and we welcome her to give us some speeches.
Thank you so much. Hi, everyone. I'm Natalie Chung, and I'm currently doing my PhD studies in climate change policy at Princeton University. So today, it's my greatest honor to speak at the ICCGC CoNGO stage. It's actually my first time hearing about this conference. Thank you so much to the organizer for inviting me. And I think it really opened the door to me to this interfaith multilateral platform that is such a strong coalition to connect human and nature and to rediscover the potential of humanity as one community, as Professor said before, to solve a lot of the emerging global challenges. So before I begin my little presentation, I'd like to share some of my initial anecdotes about interfaith and this community and power of faith in my life. So I did my undergraduate studies. I'm from Hong Kong. I did my undergraduate studies at the Chinese University of Hong Kong. And we actually have a very special compulsory subject for all the first and second year undergrad students. It's called In Dialogue with Nature and In Dialogue with Humanity. And for the course of In Dialogue with Humanity, every student, all students in undergraduate, has to study the different core faith and religious books, including the Heart Sutra of Buddhism, the Bible of Christianity, and also the Quran. So through studying all these literature, we try to perceive faith and human power. And we also have to tackle the issue of finding ourselves and perceiving ourselves. So we would study texts like Aristotle's Nicomachean Ethics and Plato's Symposium, as well as Confucius' Analects, and looking at self in the society, studying works like Adam Smith's Wealth of Nations. So I think this is a very comprehensive syllabus of how I personally first got in touch with these different faiths. And most recently in Dubai at the climate change conference held by the United Nations, I also had a chance to visit this pavilion called the Faith Pavilion. Before, I've been working on the climate issue for over 10 years, but I never knew that faith and faith-based organization actually has such a huge participation in the global climate movement. And I was really touched by how this Faith Pavilion brings together all the different religions and their collective power in solving the world's crisis. Over the past few days, I also recall some of the key learnings from different speakers, including the concept of one community. And this reminds me of Peter Singer's moral framework, looking at one world and the global citizenship as a new moral boundary, not just the nation's geographical or geopolitical boundaries. And another one is Thich Nhat Hanh's teaching. It also covers mindfulness and ethical consumption, something that grows down to our personal level, how we can utilize our individual power to change the society and to create the ripple effect. So starting my presentation. Personally, before this journey, I've been a climate movement organizer and a climate advocate in Asia, mainly based in Hong Kong and also some parts of mainland China. And I started my research last year at Princeton, hoping to work more on adaptation issues, given that a lot of the Pacific Island countries, as you mentioned, are facing extreme weather events. So my research is looking at the adaptation component. I also founded my own environmental nonprofit, bringing together people from different communities to help solve the climate crisis. So I'm bringing back some images, as we just mentioned, about the importance of one community. I had the opportunity to travel to Antarctica for a climate expedition, which is the southernmost part of the world, the South Pole, to learn about the ecology there. So I think it's a very profound experience and also connects a lot with my spirituality, like looking at how these species survive in a place where no man inhabits. So this penguin introducing to you is the chin sharp penguin because it has a strap on the neck. And another cool photo that I took, they are the gentoo penguins with the long tail and also the fastest underwater birds. I also saw some seals lying on the ice sheets. They are the Weddell seal. This is the Korean name. And most striking to me is not seeing those cute species, but it's seeing this very tiny species. Anyone knows its name? It looks like shrimps, right? The shrimps that we normally eat. They are actually, this is a specimen that we collected on the expedition. They are called the Antarctic krill. They are a very, very small shrimp-like species, pink and transparent in color for around 2 to 6 centimeters. And why I'm mentioning the krills? So when we all look at photos of Antarctica, we always see like penguins, seals, and whales. But very few people would recognize these small species, the krill. But in fact, they are the major food source for all the other main cute animals that we're seeing on TV. You can see that krills feed on the planktons that are generated by photosynthesis, the sun as the source of energy, and then even the biggest animals, the whales, they eat these tiny krills. However, in Antarctica, they're facing different issues. For example, krills are very sensitive to warmer ocean temperature. And under climate change, krills population have already declined by around 20 to 30%. And another major issue is these big ships. There's a lot of illegal commercial fishing activities happening in Antarctica. And all of them are driving for human consumption because we have this demand for Antarctic krill oil that human believes has a lot of health benefits. But in fact, there's an alternative called the algae oil, because actually the nutrients from the krill comes from algae that they eat, not from the krills directly. So we see how this concept of ethical consumption ties to the ecosystems. Some small action of humanity are actually trickling down to the impact of the creatures that we're seeing in Antarctica, these species that we all hope to protect. And another research that we did in Antarctica is about the microplastic research. We collected 10 surface ocean water sample in Southern Ocean, which is the ocean surrounding Antarctica. And we found that there are microplastic traces in all the 10 surface water samples. Today, a lot of us use plastic because it's convenient, but we're already seeing research showing how these microplastic has gone into fish, has gone into the seafood that we're consuming, and even in newborn babies' blood, we can find microplastic traces. And in Antarctica, where nobody lives, there is also microplastic because, again, connecting to the one community concept or theology, the ocean is also just one ocean. The oceans in Korea are actually connected wider to the Southern Ocean, and some of the plastics and trash that are in the ocean are circulating around the planet. So I think having this in mind, it just reminds us of how small or how insignificant human is, but at the same time, how powerful it is. Our behavior is actually having such a far-reaching impact on the southernmost part of the planet. This is a diagram that I always find inspiring. It's by a cartoonist, and it shows that it actually generates during the COVID-19 pandemic. You can see, maybe not very clearly, the pink wave is the first wave, the COVID-19, and then after that, recession. And behind recession or COVID-19, the broader wave coming through is climate change. And behind climate change, there's a biodiversity collapse. And most recently, someone added an extra layer, which is war. Because we know today we talk a lot about the conflicts between countries, and these wars are also aggravating impacts of climate change. We know that people are suffering from famine, and agriculture and all the infrastructural damage needs a lot of time to recover and rebuild. And of course, all these impacts are exacerbated by climate change. So oftentimes we only see the most surface level issues. We see how COVID-19 is bringing economic and social disruption for 2-3 years. But then we should also think about all the upcoming impact and waves of impact that are forthcoming. And a little bit about my own journey. I was actually inspired by a polar explorer through a school project when I was 11 years old. The lady in the middle is called Dr. Rebecca Lee. She's the first woman in the world who has been to the North Pole, South Pole, and Mount Everest. So she's a very avid educator and climate explorer. And on the leftmost, that is me when I was young. And I remember she told me this powerful imagery. She told us that the Earth is trapped in a microwave with continuously rising temperatures. And this visual just stuck into my mind ever since when I was 11. I drew it out in the project and submitted it for a competition. But I think most importantly is how one thing or one experience that she shared, what she saw at the polar regions, the melting ice cap, still was engraved with my mind and fueled me to continue my climate advocate journey. And after that, I also discovered a problem of the disconnection between human and nature. Living in Hong Kong, which is very much similar to Seoul or other parts of Korea. It's an urban jungle. We don't get to the nature that often, but in fact, there are so many pockets of nature and urban biodiversity. So I realized that it's very important to bring these human nature experiences to inspire action. Because we cannot protect what we don't love. Building that nature-human connection is the core to all environmental education that we are promoting and advocating for. This is why we start with experiences and gradually to educate the public and empower our younger generation in their climate and environmental movement. So my organization, called FAIR, we have organized over 300 eco-tours and environmental workshops benefiting over 80,000 people. And recently, we also tried to engage different sectors in the society, bring together different communities, including our most recent collaboration with Hong Kong Disneyland. We are using the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals, the SDG framework, to educate children who love going to Disneyland as a leisure activity. But then we initiated this project with them. We told them not only can kids have fun in Disney, they can also learn about nature because there are different rides related to biodiversity, and the park also has like solar panels to help generate renewable energy. So this is a very successful campaign that we launched. And lastly, as a part of closing, I'd like to share this framework with all of you. We remember, like, we were talking about the next phase of Professor Chung Utak talked about, like, how the SDGs are expiring soon in 2030. So what should we do after 2030, given that we're not actually reaching the intended SDGs and the countries are all lagging behind? One of the frameworks is called regenerative development. So SDGs, sustainability, is essentially doing no additional harm to the nature, sustaining the current state, continuing the current state. What about the future? Maybe we need something more progressive than sustainability. We need to think more about how to regenerate. Because we have already damaged so much of our ecosystems, we need to think of solutions that integrate nature, learn from and inspired by nature, and also doing something that brings additional benefits to nature so that we can remedy the previous harms that we have done. This is a photo of a solar panel project designed with the philosophy of learning from the seed pod of a sunflower. So these are concepts of biomimicry, like how do we learn from nature's design to continue moving forward our regeneration and our sustainable development and infrastructure. And another framework that I found very useful is called the donut economics. It is a circle where the outer ring is the planetary boundaries, the ecological limits of our planet, while their inner foundation is connected with a lot of the religions because it talks about how we provide equitable living space for human, how we provide food, shelter, healthcare systems. So it's not only about ecology, but it's also about bringing together this equitable development for the future of humanity, proposed by Dr. Kate Raworth, my lecturer while I was doing my master's at Oxford. And continuing on my work, I just started my PhD journey, and I'm researching on something called the nature-based solutions, which are restoring existing ecosystems to help bring societal and environmental benefits at the same time. And in the past week, I had the chance to visit Cheongju stream in Seoul, which is actually a very successful example of how human and nature can coexist in an ecosystem. So the stream, they have a lot of trees around the stream, so it's not just concrete surface. In Hong Kong, there are lots of NULA that is mostly concrete and channelized to prevent flooding. But actually, this is a new way where during flooding, they will close the stream to protect the people. But when there's no flooding, people can go down to the stream and interact with nature and play around. So this is a great example of nature-based solutions in action that actually exists in a lot of Hong Kong textbook and government reports because we all want to learn from Seoul, like from Korea's this nature philosophy. So lastly, how do we start? So I think the most important thing for all of us today, I guess this is more for like maybe the younger generation, is to find your why. Discover what fascinates you, what interests you. It can be peace building, it can be helping with the ecological destruction or climate action. And the second step is to seek your own impact career and also educate yourself about these materials. And gradually, by starting an individual project, you can also think about building your own products or services, and ultimately to create your own movement to amplify the change to a wider, broader community. I'd like to close with this image. It is called the Earthrise, taken by Apollo 8. When they landed Moon, they saw Earth from afar. And I think this is a great image for us to reflect as human. What is humans' position on the planet, and why do we matter? Seeing the Earth from afar, we realize that Earth is not limitless. It has a boundary. And this is why all the resources on Earth, we need to rethink how do we consume it sustainably, how do we allow Earth to thrive and regenerate. And a quote from an astronaut on board: "There are no passengers on the spaceship Earth. We are all crew." All of us here are on board on this challenge to protect our planet and to continue building peace and building connection and bonding within our interfaith community. Thank you again for having me at ICCGC, and look forward to the discussions.
Thank you so much, Natalie Chung, to give us your inspiring speeches about the climate policy to save all of us in our planet. Thank you so much. Now, after when I mentioned at the very beginning, after panelist speeches, I would like to open to the floor to give us your speeches, or your visions or reflections, joining in this ICCGC CoNGO 2025. And so I'd like to share your visions and wisdoms and also their reflections together to have more developing meeting for the next year too. And so yesterday, when the Venerable Junsei Terasawa posed a very blank question to all of us and to our young panelists, very briefly: will our world be better or worse in 10 years? I thought that it was almost like a Zen koan, a public question, very important question, whether you are enlightened or not. This is a very important question. But one person answered that very clearly. It depends on us. It depends on our young generations. And so it's wonderful to give an answer to Venerable Terasawa's question. And so I'd like to first ask Aki Ota, who answered that question, and maybe you might have some more explanation or impression for all of us. Would you share it together? Would you give us some mic to him? There is a mic over there. Okay, and Aki Ota is over there. Would you? And also, I would like to listen to your voices from the floor. Yes, please.
Thank you so much for pointing out me. And pardon, what was the question again? I wanted to make it elaborate more. Okay.
Or you could express your own experience.
Oh, this is really challenging. Firstly, thank you so much for all the speakers for your wonderful speeches. I learned a lot, and also I learned that I haven't learned enough even today. And I'm still, on my journey on PhD as Natalie does. But when I think about our future vision, I feel like I have the same feeling as the third speaker's, what was your name again? Doyoung? Park?
Lebanon Park.
Park, yes. Yeah, I really resonate with your opinion that each of us is such a small being, right? And we cannot do something big by a single individual, but we all have our part. I mean, there are, how many billion people on this earth? Right? There are so many people, and there's not a single person is identical, right? We all have, each one of us has different role. And as Natalie mentioned, that we need to find our passion, what we want to work on in our life. So I feel like it is really important for us to find whatever we can be passionate about, and also we need to connect that passion to think what we can do for our future and for this world. But firstly, I think we should make ourselves happy first, because a person who's not happy cannot share happy with others, right? We need to fulfill our life with achievement and love and kindness first, so that we can share with people. So I think, so to conclude, I didn't really, I can't really conclude, but I think my point is to make yourself and find your passion, and also make yourself happy first. And then after growing yourself, you can share what you have to the surroundings, I guess. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
I don't know if this is a clear answer, but yeah, that's so far what I have so far.
It's wonderful. It's wonderful. Let's give her a big hand.
Thank you.
And also, any other persons from the floor? Yes, Dr. Kim Song-gon at the front. Mike Uju, Mike at the front. Yeah, thank you so much.
네, 오늘 마지막 토론인 것 같은데요. 저는 개인적으로 이 종교 간 대화 운동에 오랫동안 관여를 했는데, 지금 세계 평화를 위협하는 것은 종교 간의 갈등보다는 이 정치 세력 간의 갈등이 훨씬 세계 평화를 위협한다고 생각을 합니다. 러시아와 나토, 또 중국과 미국, 또 남한과 북한. 그래서 저는 이 종교 간 대화에 꼭 초청하고 싶은 그룹들이 있는데, 공산주의자입니다. 커뮤니스트. 이 공산주의는 종교하고 굉장히 유사해요. 자기의 세계관을 절대화하면서 다른 세계관을 용납하지 않죠. 그러면서도 공산주의가 굉장히 세계시민 의식을 갖고 있습니다. 이 공산주의를 주장한 칼 막스는 모든 인간이 인간으로서 평등하게 대접받을 수 있는 계급 없는 이상사회를 만들겠다. 종교하고 굉장히 유사하죠. 그러면서도 공산주의 국가에서는 종교의 자유를 아직까지도 북한도 그렇고 중국도 그렇고 완전히 허락하지를 않고 있습니다. 오히려 종교를 악마화하고 있죠. 그래서 저는 이 ICCGC를 비롯해서 모든 종교 간 대화 모임에 꼭 공산주의자를 한번 초청을 했으면 좋겠어요. 특히 우리 한국에서는 그렇습니다. 한국에서는 지금 제일 심각한 문제가 종교 간 대화가 아니고 공산주의와의 대화가 가장 심각한 문제거든요. 근데 왜 우리가 그 사람들을 초청을 안 하는지, 아니면 그 사람들이 뭐 거부를 하는지는 모르겠습니다만은 진정한 지금 세계 평화를 위해서 또 세계의 시민 그 의식을 고양하기 위해서 정말 필요한 대화의 파트너는 공산주의자라는 걸 말씀드리면서 좀 어떻게 생각하시는지 여기에 좀 답변해 주시면 좋겠습니다.
Okay, thank you so much. Yeah. Dr. Chung Utak, would you answer for his question?
한국어로 하겠습니다. 한때 유네스코 파리 본부에서 세계 시민이라는 주제로 북한 대사를 접촉을 했거든요. 그래서 그게 이제 2018년이었는데 북한에서 한번 세계 시민에 관련된 회의를 열면 북한이 분명히 이제 세계의 정상적인 국가인 것을 보여주는 거니까 어떠냐 해서 이제 그 당시 담당 국장하고 북한 대사하고 오찬을 하면서 제안을 했는데 결국 이제 뭐 북한 대사가 본국에 연락하고 나중에 온 답변이 그거 우리가 받아들이기 힘들다 이렇게 답변이 왔거든요. 그래서 이제 추측만 하는데 북한은 글로벌 시티전십 자체가 이게 데모하고 프로테스탄트 정권의 위협이라고 보는 거고요. 또 잘 아시겠지만 중국에서는 똑같은 이런 단어인데 글로벌 시티즌십 에듀케이션, 한국에서는 번역할 때 한자로 세계 시민 교육, 일본에서는 지구 시민 교육, 우리 일본 분들 있으니까 그렇게 번역이 되고요. 중국에서는 정구 국민 도덕 교육으로 번역합니다. 그러니까는 번역은 자기들 마음이지만은 완전히 다른 의미죠. 시민이란 용어는 홍콩에서 데모하고 한국에서 데모하는 게 시민이니까 시민은 빼고 국민 도덕 교육으로 번역을 하고 절대 세계 시민 교육이라는 용어를 쓰지를 않기 때문에 만약에 초청하시려고 하면 글로벌 시티즌십 빼고 조금 이건 뭐라고 그러죠? 위장을 해야 될 겁니다. 종교 간 대화 혹은 국제 이해 교육 혹은 국제 문화 상호 교류 중국이 가장 좋아하는 용어가 문명 간 대화. 예. 그러니까는 dialogue of civilization 그런 용어를 쓰면 굉장히 호응을 받을 수 있거든요. 그러니까 이제 그런 정도로 제가 이해를 하고 있습니다.
Thank you so much for your answer. And I also think that the Chinese would like to give some like a public statement, and also they have a very concern about the dialogue among civilizations. And so maybe we might have that kind of a subject to invite them together in late, and not now. But any other person? Yes, please.
Thank you very much. I always learn more when I listen to all of you. It's my first time here, so I have just some questions that are still lingering for me. And I actually also think, really like what Roberto said, that it takes a long time to develop a family. And so I get a sense that this is a family. The ICCGC has Interfaith Coalition Conference. Are you a conference? Is this a coalition? Is this intended to be a movement? I don't know what it is. So is there any commitment of the audience or the members or the participants to the next one? Like, what are we supposed to do? What's our commitment to what happens here? So if it's only for global citizens, who are we as global citizens? So I had just a lot of questions about the commitment of this organization to itself. Are we just here for the next conference? Do we have any commitment from now till then? And who decides what it will be? So those are my really pressing questions. And the last one would be, is it about global citizenship or the issues in front of us You know, like, there's so many things going on. I really think that that focusing on one might be a very good thing, and focusing on what the issues in the place you're meeting is also very good. So anyway, those are just my general feedback from what I...
Okay, thank you so much. Maybe Father Leo, maybe you might some, okay, well, Reverend Park.
Briefly, I can share what I know. First of all, we don't really have legal paper for this conference thing, so which means it's like an open book, like, you know, and then we are creating this community together. I'm sure that maybe Father Leo, you know better as you're the co-chair of this whole conference. So far, you know, we have some of the working group that we're planning this conference together, and it's all voluntary kind of joining. You know, we have a Zoom that we can just announce the meeting, whomever available, we come here. And then we all kind of recommend the speakers and participants. So for my understanding, it's very organic kind of coming out create this conference. But probably, as you mentioned, since it's our 6th time, and then for the upcoming gatherings, probably we need to have a little more organized committee for that. And One Buddhism has been kind of upfront leading this conference, but doesn't mean that, you know, we also invite other communities here as well, which means if you have any good suggestions and ideas, we'd like to listen to you all. Maybe I'd like to ask first, listen to the Mark Uno first, and then we can have your microphone.
Okay, Mark Uno, you raised your hand. Professor Mark Uno. It is related with that question, and so Professor Mark Uno joined this meeting from the beginning. Maybe he might another answer for her question. After that, I will.
Yeah, thank you. So one of the things that multiple people have said is how wonderful that we're getting the great energy, great wisdom, the openness and insights from younger people. And I think part of what that does is it reawakens the youth in us all. It re-energizes all of us. Reminds us that we all have that youthful potential no matter our biological age. And part of and part of what this gathering does for many of us, I think, who have been involved for a number of years, is that we are re-energized by the community that is unfolding through the years through this conference. To go back to our local communities, our local work, our local institutions, to re-engage in meaningful ways, whether it's through education or social environmental activism, so that there is real work that's coming out of this that energizes us. And the fact that the primary drivers of this event has been the Won Buddhists is foundational to that fact. The energy of the founder Sotai-san and his son, who was the main president of Wonkwang University. And the building of this community is drawing on that infinite, bottomless, boundless power of awakening, which brings us together and creates this kind of, moving community from year to year that cements the bonds of friendship and fellowship among us, to re-energize us, to go out and do the work that we can do. And so that in itself is deeply, deeply meaningful. And so it might not be that, so we did a kind of a public policy thing last year where we generated a letter that was delivered to the UN from a global religious perspective. And we can continue to do that kind of concrete social, political, environmental, activist function as a event and organization, but so much of what's meaningful about this event is in the unseen aspect of emotional, spiritual connection, sharing insights, and building bridges of understanding, friendship, and heart connection.
And so Mike is, he raised his hands first, and so at the front, first front. Thank you.
I think your image of intergenerational participation is... The intergenerational vision, I think, is incredible. The first master of Won Buddhism said, in the future, enlightenment will be when you're about 15 or 16 years old. How is that going to happen? Well, I think, first of all, I think it partially AI is going to, I know we fear it, but it's not Facebook, it's a whole new world. But this is the problem. We need intra-faith dialogue because all our faiths have a tradition of hiding their deepest knowledge, their profound, perceptions in hierarchical structures. And if we really want to have a dialogue across generations, we have to free that information and share it with others, which is a total revolution to the hierarchical way we've been thinking. So I really think we have to consider that. Every one of our religions is that way. And when we invite one of us, they represent one tradition and not others. So we have to, I think we should have an intra-faith, because the faiths themselves need some conversations, not just between horizontal, but vertical.
Thank you so much. And Reverend Venerable Terasawa. Yeah.
Thank you. I want to add my thought and remark and sharing my feelings. And one very eye-opening phrase in these panelists is planet Earth as a spaceship, and we are not the passenger, we are all crew. We have a shared responsibility, and we are all shared destiny as a one spaceship, planet Earth. And this consciousness is a quite new experience as a human beings in the humankind. And this new collective consciousness of shared destiny, shared spaceship, planet Earth, this kind of symbolic phrase is Michael Jackson's song. We are the world.
We are the world.
We are the world. And this new consciousness and this global citizen first as a planetary movement, where should be the government or decision making? I don't think we don't need it. What we needed is a collective consciousness. Like a birds, thousands of birds, they are flying in the sky, and nobody is a driver, but somebody is deciding the direction, and all together it's flying. Human beings are now having this shared consciousness of the responsible crew member of the planet Earth, spaceship. We are the world. And this consciousness itself will drive us to the new global movement. And that could be the global citizen first movement.
Thank you so much. And to remind us about we are the world. And also that I would like to hear some speeches from Thailand. There are several young Buddhist monks who come from Thailand. May I suggest anyone to give us some your thought? After that, I will hand the mic over there.
안녕하세요. 반갑습니다. Okay, good afternoon, everyone. I'm, you can call me Warat Sunim in Korea. Warat Sunim. Yes, I'm from Thailand. As you can consider me as a young generation monk, because I'm just 24 years old now. Yes, and I was been in a monkhood already 12 years, since I was 12 years old. This is my honest that stand here in front of all of you here, because I think I come so far from my hometown in Thailand. As a monk in Thailand is kind of very different with the Buddhists in Korean, as I know, because we have a lot of precepts. For example, since I am the monk, I have more than 200 precepts. That means have a lot of things protect me, from the lay people world, something like that. So many things I cannot do. Yes, but today I learn a lot about the wide worldview from every panelist and exchange more experience with everyone. In Thai tradition, a family very happy when they saw their son become a monk since they was so young. Yeah, that can say not my purpose at first when I become a monk, but after that I try to learn more and more, reading more about the Buddha Dhamma, something like that. Yeah, and today I stand here with this program, Interfaith Coalition Conference for Global Citizens. Yes. One thing that I learned is about oneness and selfless. Every question that everyone asks, in my opinion, I think actually we just assume we have a lot of conflict, we have a lot of war in the world. Even we say that nowadays is a civilization world. But why the world become like this? Because when people get more knowledge, education, and they feel this is me, this is mine, I am professor, something like that, yeah, and has more attachment and have more ourselves, yeah, it's feel like it's very real, but actually finally everything become assumed. Like the nation, for example, the land you can plant, the water you can drink, the wind, you know how it touch you. But what is nation? Something like that. For me, everything is kinda in human imagine. Yes, but if everyone try to reduce try to reduce defilements, yeah, and understand in selfless, one day the world will become peace. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you so much to share your thought and experience about the selfless unity together. Lady, yes, please. Yeah.
Thank you for giving opportunity to speak. Yeah, so it is the first time for me to attend this conference. I learned many things from this conference. So I am involved in the social movement more than 30 years. But I realized only the social transformation cannot bring the peace in the world. So I started to integrate the social transformation with the individual transformation. So right now I am doing one body peace movement. So when I attended the conference, I wanted to suggest one because my interest is focusing on how can we integrate social transformation and individual the transformation. But in this conference, there are the many the lectures and the speakers who are speaking about individual transformation, not so much the social transformation. Some people questioned about how can we bring peace between Ukraine and Russia. So my interest is how can we make peace in political and economical situation. So I wanted to suggest to invite the social activists and the politicians to say about something. So I think the many people who are enlightened in spirituality they have to enter into the political and the economical situation to bring together the two kinds of transformation. So in this seminar, I learned many things, many kind of topics. But I think you have this seminar annually, so you have to focus on some specificated theme. Especially, for example, how can we bring the peace, the war in the war between Ukraine and Russia, especially Palestine and Israel. They have some conflicts between religions. So we can invite them and then we can hear. So we focused on some specific themes. So, and then we can get some insight from the seminars. Thank you.
Thank you so much for your suggestion, not only to focus on that individual transformation, also that social transformation. Just one more person. Okay, one more, another two people together from the floor because we have to finalize our speeches.
Yeah, sorry, yeah. I'll be short. Yeah, thank you. For my feeling first, I always come conference, or I myself organize a conference. The meaning of this conference is getting together is to recognize we are not alone. This is the most powerful feeling. We are not alone. We are going together. We are working together. There are people who are like me. So this is very important factor and again confirmed in this conference. This is my feeling. And I hope you share my feeling together. Second suggestion. Already we witnessed here to hear some voiceless voices in this final summit. We hear. I hope to hear these voices more organized way. Next conference, next year, maybe you can make one section for group sharing so that we can hear these voiceless voices with more systematic way. They can represent as a panel or as a reporter to us so that we can hear more people's feeling and opinions in more inclusive way. Okay, thank you.
Thank you so much to suggest a better way how to develop our congregation. And also, please, yes.
Okay, I'd like to thank all the speakers today, and then I was also inspired by many of the comments that came up from the floor as well. And as an experienced educator who was part of a committee that found the Department of Global Citizenship Studies in 2001, has become a faculty from this April. And we started this program to develop active citizens, and in order to aim that goal, our curriculum is based on what we call valuing education, which is touch the mind with cognitive skills and touch the soul, and heart, And when that happens, we're compelled to take action. So I had the opportunity to participate ICCGC for the third time this year, and I have heard precious knowledge and many stories that touch my heart. So our next action, our next plan should be action. What can we do actually? And maybe that is what we can talk about. And so that's one thing, because we have so many precious participants with great ideas that we can actually put our philosophy and thoughts to action. Number two, SDG 17 is partnerships. And that's what we have been doing so far. And I would like to suggest, in addition to what Dr. Sugong Kim has mentioned, there is a group called Global Partnership for Prevention of Armed Conflict, which started in 2005 from the UN. And it is an organization that was called to action by the former Secretary General, forgot the name. No, before that. Anand, yes. Right. And then we have, we do have area meetings, and we have Asian meetings as well. And if we have meetings in, for example, Vladivostok, or maybe in Hungary or some other mid-European countries, North Korea and Russia can come. And so maybe that is one thing we can think about if we want them to participate, to find a place where it's safe for them to come. And so we do have a peace education working group where we actually visited Ukraine, and we saw a beautiful program they had called Culture of Good Neighborhood. So that is what I want to suggest. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Casey Matsui, to suggest the wonderful project to invite some other countries from Russia and from North Korea and other countries. And now I would like to suggest our panelists to speak something, whatever you like, within 1 or 2 minutes.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you very much. I would like to suggest for the ICCGC 2-3 different categories. Number one, we should deeply involve in global agenda setting process. UN 2030 maybe will adopt post SDGs S. So we have a meeting 2025. So next year, 2026, 7, 8, 9, then 4 years, our meeting should link with the SDG, post SDG goals. So I hope we have a very good network. This conference is ICCGC CoNGO. CoNGO is part of UN. And also, Madam Park Do-yeon, she is deeply involved in coalition of religious group in UN. So through this kinds of channel, we have to input our own goals to post SDGs. I guess next year, 2026, UN will open working group for post SDG. So we have one voice and input our goal into the next SDG. That is my own suggestion. And also very same context to UNESCO. And also there are several international like-minded groups such as Earth Chart International and also COP, UNFCCC. They have an annual meeting, conference of parties. This year, the meeting will be held in Belém, Brazil. So many people gathered. So we do not disregard these very important gatherings, COP, UNFCCC. So we have to have some activities in coming COP meeting. Usually it will be held in November. Second, in these gatherings, in this meeting, so many academic person, professor join. I suggest please open at least 1 or 2 classes in your university on global citizenship. I don't know the name. The name will be different, but almost same philosophy, global solidarity, global community, or global citizenship course in your university. We have to cultivate, we have to make next generation as a global citizen. Today's global leaders, we cannot expect anything from them. Older generation, Mr. Trump and Mr. Xi Jinping, Mr. Putin, they don't have such a concept, global citizenship. They have only nationalism, So we have to cultivate global citizenship for our future generation. So this is real ownership, crew membership. You have to open your own course in your university, 1 or 2, on this philosophy. This is my suggestion. The last one, Professor Poeting already mentioned, we are only coalition. I suggest coalition slowly move to kinds of a network platform and finally movement. Without movement, we cannot widely spread our philosophy to the world. So in that sense, I suggest we move to the movement. So in that suggestion, I have 3 for the next year. Father Song already mentioned, we have to adopt official statements on the end of this meeting, or we have to adopt open letter to the global leaders. So this is very important. Second, I joined in the youth forum, which was held in second floor. Very interesting. So we have to expand more those youth exchange program, youth forum. We invite more youth to this conference. That is my 2 suggestions to be a very good movement on Interfaith Coalition Conference for Global Citizens. Thank you very much.
Father Leo, yes.
At the beginning of the Dhammapada, Lord Buddha tells us our life is the product of our mind. Our thoughts of today shape our life of tomorrow. And he goes on to spell out very concretely that our thoughts and actions have consequences. I am concerned that the greatest danger to global citizenship is a type of cynicism about history that can easily become a self-fulfilling prophecy, a view that assumes human communities will always be in conflict, and thus we have to prepare for battle. History becomes a series of competing wills to power. To ground hope for our project, both the Buddhist and the Christian traditions tell us we don't have to live this way. and offer visions of cosmic reconciliation that provide grounds for hope, paradoxically against a lot of the odds we see in this world. The Flower Ornament Sutra of Mahayana Buddhism presents a vision of the cosmic body of the Buddha as a power of reconciliation and healing throughout the entire universe. The Buddha's body emanates great light, with physical forms boundless and totally pure, filling all lands like clouds, everywhere extolling the Buddha's virtues. All illumined by the light rejoice. Beings in distress are relieved. This is the work of the Buddha's power. The Surangama Sutra presents Avalokiteshvara, the Bodhisattva of compassion, as fully awake and hearing all the cries of the world. Quote, as the sound of Dharma reverberated from groves and ponds, those beams of light interlaced with each other like the strands of a magnificent net, something no one in the assembly had ever seen before. All gained the ability to enter the Vajra-solid Samadhi. Then lotus flowers, some blue, some yellow, some red, some white, each adorned with 100 gems, floated down together from the heavens, and space throughout the 10 directions took on the colors of the 7 precious things. Throughout the 10 directions, Buddha lands as many as motes of dust were seen to merge into a single world, while there rang forth everywhere the sounds of chant and song. End quote. So the Dharma, the teachings of the Buddha, have a cosmic power to heal and reconcile and unite. Christians receive an analogous ground for hope from the confidence that God has redeemed the entire world in Christ, offering reconciliation throughout the cosmos. The letter to the Colossians proclaims Christ as the cosmic power of healing and peace. He is the image of the invisible God, the firstborn of all creation. For in him all things in heaven and on earth were created, things visible and invisible, whether thrones or dominions or rulers or powers, all things have been created through him and for him. He himself is before all things, and in him all things hold together. For in him all the fullness of God was pleased to dwell, and through him God was pleased to reconcile to himself all things, whether on earth or in heaven, by making peace through the blood of his cross. The letter to the Ephesians tells us that Christ is our peace. In his flesh, he had made both groups one and has broken down the dividing wall, that is, the hostility between us. So the original text is thinking of Jews and Gentiles, but we can apply the reconciliation by extension to all peoples. And some distinguished Buddhist scholars have done exactly this. Francis Cook was a great scholar of Huayan Buddhism. I was in dialogue with him, and he was very, very clear on the profound differences between Buddhism and Christianity. But at the end of his study of Huayan Buddhism, the jewel net of Indra, he turns to the deeply Catholic image of Dante Alighieri, that love empowers the universe. So this is Francis Cook, as a very well-informed Buddhist, comments on the deep kinship in Buddhist and Christian experiences of cosmic love and compassion. I quote, "Our love is limited and self-interested. If anything, Buddhist love is something akin to that love of which Dante spoke so movingly and beautifully as the love that moves the sun and the other stars. At first glance, this may seem to be an outrageous exaggeration, but this compassion is not the compassion of the common man. It is the occurrence in space and time of a compassion which pervades 10,000 galaxies and realizes itself in them, individual by individual. If we accept this cosmic love and compassion into our hearts, Francis Cook continues, quote, I am in some sense boundless, my being encompassing the farthest limits of the universe, touching and moving every atom in existence. The same is true of everything else. The interfusion, the sharing of destiny, is as infinite in scope as the reflections in the jewels of Indra's net. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And Reverend Doyan.
I just want to offer you a deep bow as you deserve one. Thank you so much for being who you are and what you do. Thanks.
Dr. Toberetto.
A quick thought of conclusion, a suggestion. The ICCGC, it's a coalition. And I like personally very much this word coalition, because each of us, personally or in small groups, belong already to institutions, to NGOs, to organizations already very much involved in something which has to do with global citizenship or formation to dialogue and so on and so forth. What is beautiful of this conference of ours, it's a coalition where we can all come together, renew our strength, renew our courage, renew our energies, our vibrations, and then continue our work wherever we are and in whatever specific activities we have. So I would say, let's continue in unity without losing our diversities. Let's not make one added movement to the many which are already working in the world for this end, for this target. Let's work together in the specificities that each one of us has.
Thank you. And Natalie Chan, yes.
Yeah, I'd like to end with the quote from Dr. Jane Goodall, a famous environmentalist. During Peace Day, she said that we can have a world of peace. We can move toward a world where we live in harmony with each other, no matter what nation we come from, no matter our religion, no matter what our culture is. This is where we're moving towards. I look forward to ICCGC with more interfaith coalition building and intergenerational dialogues in the years to come. And I'm very glad to be joined with all these wonderful youth members this year, and hopefully we will be contributing to more constructive dialogues towards policymaking and creating different social and political movements.
Thank you so much. And from our panelists, we have heard how values can guide policy and how peace can build bridges, and how academia can inspire action, and how organizations can foster solidarity, and how youth can lead us toward a more just and sustainable future. Master Sotaesan, who is the founding master of Won Buddhism, mentioned that, in quote, Korean, 물질이 개벽되니 정신을 개벽하자. His main thought about the 정신 개벽, the great enlightenment of your own spirituality. And so we have to open our mind to the whole world. And also we have to stabilize our world by developing not only the scientific civilization, but also spiritual civilization. And also that nowadays you might know K-pop or K-drama is popular, But nowadays we say that K culture. But one of the independence leader, his name is Kim Gu, he mentioned about strong country in culture. Means that not empowering, like it is not a cultural empire. It is not emphasizing about the empire in culture to widespread the whole world. But he mentioned that peaceful culture should be brought in this country, in this divided country between North and South Korea. And also we emphasized about 해원 상생. Literally means that we have to melt down our like a resentment or our angers from the long history of wars and conflicts. Without melting down that kind of resentment, we cannot live together in peaceful way. And so there is a kind of teaching in Korean society. We kept this kind of tradition for a long time. And I really appreciate for your all participation with sincere and inspiring speeches. And so I'd like to thank you, our panelists, and also our participants, and also everyone who made this gathering possible. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. To our moderator, Dr. Park, and to the panelists. Don't go anywhere. We still have the closing session, which is the very last important session. So we're going to ask those who are speaking for the closing session to come to the front row, and then each person will be coming one at a time. So take this moment to stretch. If you need to go to the restroom, yes.